please ask the host to give you permission to record, or maybe you could just record and then just send me the wave file or the MP4 file.
Okay,
Would
you
that
can like,
work?
yeah. Like, how do I don't. How do I give you permission to record? Okay, I'll just actually since
Oh,
YouTube's already recording,
okay.
you know, I mean, you can just pull that off of there if that's okay.
Alrighty. We're
Um.
live.
Oh, we are.
Yeah, I had it on my other screen.
Yay! Cool. No intro, just go.
Yeah.
All right. So, how do you want to? This is your podcast, so I will
Yeah.
let you fly.
So we can get started just with you doing the little intro, and then I can start asking you a bunch of questions and yeah.
All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Great Design Lead Podcast. My name is Nelson Abelos, and I am a pixel geek. And right now, I am doing my best to help make the web beautiful together.
That's great. Thank you so much for being willing to come on and hang out with me today.
My
Um,
pleasure.
I'm I'm a fan of yours
Thank
for a
you.
bit. I actually heard about you. I was working on a project and I was trying to figure out how to do a membership site, and then I found one of your live streams and I thought this guy seems really really nice
Oh,
and I really love his channel. And so I started looking at your stuff and I sent you that thing on LinkedIn. I'm kind of weird in which if I think somebody's cool, I actually like reach out to them personally and want to be their friend, even if they're like all the way on the other side of the country.
that you're not weird. I mean, I myself, I'm shy. So like
Yeah.
you're more brave than I. Like even to this day, like if there's someone who's a big time designer or something like that, or a really good Webflow developer, I'm like too shy to even DM them. And honestly, I still need to work up the courage to ask people to be guests on my YouTube channel. So
Really?
yeah.
Oh, I think I just have something slightly wrong with me that I'm like not afraid of it at all.
No, that's called
There's
bravery.
there's a funny story that my parents lost me at a beach when I was a child because I made friends with these kids that didn't speak English and only spoke French. And I was just like hanging out with them. So I think
Nice.
I've always been like this. But yeah, I found you and I messaged you on LinkedIn and I sent you a picture of me looking at your video. I'm like, hey, this is so cool. No normal person would do that. And so yeah, I asked you to chat, and then since then I do a lot of research on people before I talk to them. So
Mhm.
like I listened to your podcast with your wife. I went through a lot of your YouTube videos about your life and your family, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. So anything that you want to bring up, I'd probably remember it and be able to talk to you about it. So
Oh,
I'm very
wow.
excited.
Wow. Okay.
but but yeah, so I when you are a pixel geek, you also work at Webflow. So I kind of want to hear a little bit about like explaining that to people that don't know what you do, kind of like what you do on a day to day, and then we can get more into like who you are as a person because that's what I'm really interested in.
All right. So, I'm just a nerd for web design. And since you've heard many of my recordings in the past, I'll just say it again. It just all started with the natural curiosity of a middle school friend who created a AOL member page, and I was like, "You made that on your screen, and then I can see it on mine." And
Hmm.
that's where the spark happened. And because of the speed of technology and how it evolves, the speed of web design, where there's always a new code, there's always a new software, there's always a new tool. It's just always a new, fresh new thing to learn. And to me, it's all just toys. like, ooh, new
Hmm.
toy to play with. Let me try to figure out how to do how to break it down and use it and make my website better. Um, and yeah, it was just a natural curiosity. And so now at Webflow, customer support specialist and helping people learn Webflow and understand the power of it
Hmm.
um, is what I gravitate towards. And outside of work, I'm also creating my own community at pixelgeek.community and helping people there, but more of a mentorship type of way.
Hmm.
Because um, what I've learned from seeing my wife grow into a graphic slash web designer, she started as a graphic designer. And I've been telling her, like, hey, you gotta try Webflow. You gotta try to make websites. And as a graphic designer, she was scared of code. And it makes sense because
Mm.
it's not a visual thing. But thanks to Webflow, it made it more visual. And I help mentor and help her learn the no code way before even the term no code was
Yeah.
established. And seeing her grow into a graphic designer to someone who understands how to design for the web, but also creates databases on her own is just amazing. And it just shows that a lot of people now have the power to build on the web with less technical hurdles than there were in the past. And so that's what I'm trying to mentor people in my community and other people just in the general no code community, like this new power, harness it and make cool things. And now with more and more no code tools popping up and easier ways to connect with APIs with all these other no code tools like ClickUp, Asana, Zapier, Integromat, and etc. It's just amazing to see. And again, it's blowing up so fast that I can't keep up. And I'm like, ooh, new toy there. Ooh, new toy there. I wish I had time to play with that, but I don't. So it's getting kind of out of hand, but in a good way. So that's what I do. I mentor and also help people learn Webflow.
My first introduction to Webflow was kind of funny. So I'm a little similar to your wife in terms of I went to school for graphic design, and then a friend of mine, a family member, recommended me for this project to make a website, and I said, okay, I can design it. I can put all this together. I just need a WordPress developer. And I got connected with a WordPress developer, but because whenever you're working with another person, it like takes a little bit longer to get contracts put together and stuff like that. And in the time period of me getting in contact with them and getting started and getting that contract put together, I spent a lot of time on Webflow University. And I learned about it from Rand Segal, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool because I saw his like build a website in like 10 minutes or 5 minutes
Mm-hmm.
video, and I thought it was so cool. And it was really funny because I was spending an aggressive amount of time at like my kitchen table just going through all of the university videos. And I got to a point where I got the estimate from the WordPress developer, and I looked at it and I was like, I think I can do this myself.
There you go.
And so I pitched myself to the client. I said, listen, this other person has like 10 years of experience. I just started, like, this is the price I would give. And they looked at looked at Webflow's website and how I described it, and I gave them all the materials. Make your own decision. Like, I'm sure it'd be fine either way, but like, this is what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, oh, we'd love to go with Webflow, like, based on all the interactions and everything that you're talking about and the CMS, like, we're going to go with Webflow, we're going with you. And I was like, okay. So that project's happening right now. And yeah, and that's how I got to know you, and that's how I got to know a lot of the people, and that's how this podcast even started. I really wanted to meet all these people because I found out that there was actually like a Webflow community on LinkedIn and like everywhere, and it's very different. The way that you talk about Webflow is interesting because uh it's something that you're like super, it's very obvious that you're passionate in a really authentic way about it, because that's, I don't know. It just seems like there's something different about Webflow, and it's just really like life changing for people to be able to have this amount of independence to do stuff and learn things really quickly, even though it's something that's really complicated. So
It's
yeah.
it's the whole thing of what now I'm gonna get a little philosophical here. It's all about helping each other out and uh this thing called emergence. And it's emergence is something that I learned from one of my wife's clients. And if you think about like nature, okay, how when you look at an ant and it's by itself and it's just roaming around, it's scouting. Us humans, we look at that single ant and we're like, oh, it has no real purpose. It seems kind of dumb. It's just, it's by itself. But yet
Hmm.
you put many ants together and they can build bridges, they can hunt, they can build cities, they can do wonderful crazy things that we're like, whoa, ants are actually pretty cool. Then and then that got my mind thinking more about like, okay, same thing like an atom or something. You an atom is like by itself, like has no will, not really a purpose. Like what by itself, it's okay. But you put many together, it's like, okay, things are happening. You take our organs as human beings, take our organs, take one organ out, and you're like, okay, by itself, it's like, yeah. Put many together, it creates us humans. So
Hmm.
now think of it from a higher standpoint. Uh, One person by themselves, it's like they can't really do much. But everyone together, and we're building space stations. We're going to different planets. We're shooting robots beyond our solar system. We can do so much together. And that's what I think when it comes to this no code movement. The fact that people are learning and immediately sharing what they learn for free brings us all up. And you've probably heard our CEO Vlad say this a lot. Rising tide lifts all ships, and that's what we are doing as a no code community. We're lifting each other up. And so, how I started my YouTube channel was just from the natural curiosity of, oh, Webflow can do this. Let me make a video and like show people what I figured out. And I still do that today, where I learn like this client wants me to do something super complicated. I don't know how to do it, so I'm gonna try to figure it out. And if I do figure it out, I immediately make a YouTube video or do a stream and say, "This is how I figured it out. This is amazing. Here, take the knowledge." And then from that, everyone grows. And when I need help, I'm looking through YouTube too, and I've went through like there's like Flowbase, FinSuite, JetBoost, uh, there just so many wonderful communities, people, and videos that are just helping the no code community all grow. And it's just awesome. And I think that's what's different about this no code community is because we're not selfish. We're not like, ooh, I have knowledge. I'm going to keep it and I'm going to sell it for tens of thousands of dollars if you want this knowledge. No, here, have it. Because if you grow, we all grow. If you look at FinSuite, they do that all the time with their products. Like the cookie consent banner.
Hmm.
Usually you have to pay a third party service for that. No, they came out with their own, went through their legal team, and said, here, everyone, you can have the code for free. And so that helps you as a designer slash Webflow developer, and it saves money on your client too.
Hmm.
So things like that, it's just it makes me so happy to be in this community, and it's just getting started.
I wanted to talk to you a little about that because you said something specific where when you found Webflow and you found your YouTube channel and mentoring all these people, you found your tribe. Um, and I also wanted if things are too personal, let me know. But I remember you talking about in grade school when you didn't feel like you like fit in as much. And so I wanted to hear a little bit about that. And I was just curious as a person, like
Um,
how you went from that space when you were a kid to now coming here and feeling like you finally found a tribe that you really jived with.
so growing up, yeah, in grade school, I, and a lot of people go through this. You know, you don't really know who you are until you take a step back and realize, you always feel like you're weird. So when you're growing up in school, you have all these cliques. You have the popular kids, you have the nerdy kids, you have like the emos, goth, or whatever. Like because everyone is just trying to find their tribe, right? And I'll admit, when I was in middle school, and I'm just gonna show my age real quick. Crisscross was so cool, and I would sneak into my dad's closet to use his pants and wear it backwards because I wanted to fit in with the cool kids. And when my father came home, he was like, "What are you doing?" Like those are my pants. I was like, "But it's cool, Dad." And like I even changed the way my handwriting because I was like, "Ooh, all the cool kids are doing." And I was always being fake. But
Mm,
then I quickly grew out of that, and in grade school, I would only have like one or two friends, and just being the odd one out. And I'd rather hang out at in a computer lab or math class and just have lunch there rather than because I couldn't really find a tribe of people who understood me. And then even fast forward to high school, when I was really into web design, there was no one in the school who understood HTML and CSS. There was
mm.
no really a school club, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is before MySpace was big, and so I'm like, you can make your own web page. How come no one is talking about this? How come there's no club? And that's why I took over my computer lab class. I asked my teacher, can I teach HTML? And I'm just writing on the board HTML and then head tag, title tag, body tag, and explaining everything to the class because I'm like, if there's no tribe, if there's no club about this cool code, I'm gonna make one. And so I kind of did, and it made me happy. And fast forward to today, that's exactly what I'm doing. It's just like, hey, I learned something new here, but instead of on a dry erase board at high school, I'm doing it over the internet.
I love that story because I feel like I could really relate to it. Um, I told you I went to school for graphic design, and I got into that because I ran out of art classes in my high school, and I just like took all of them, and then I started like making up my own classes, which is interesting
Mm-hmm.
because that was similar to you, and I was like teaching myself InDesign and all of this other stuff, and I was like assistant teaching in these Photoshop classes, and and then I was like, this is really fun. I love like making these things on the computer, and I learned about graphic design. And I'm like, I don't really know what that is, but I'm gonna go to school and study it. And then I went there, and the entire time I was studying graphic design, I really loved it, but I felt like something was missing. But the thing is I had no idea what it was, like
Yeah.
at all. And I just knew that whatever I was doing right now was the closest thing to what I wanted to do. And it's really scary when you're in school and you're paying all this money, and like it's and you have doubts, and you don't want to admit it because you feel guilty for spending all this time, and it's really dumb because when you're 21 you have so much of your life to go, and that's like the time period I was in. And so I took this independent class in user experience design with Daniel Walter Scott, which is a Udemy guy.
Hmm.
Um, he's awesome. And so I learned about user experience design from that. And then finding people from like the Webflow community. I have friends now in Hamburg. I have friends in Munich and France and all of these other places, and it's really cool that I can connect with all these people, and it's interesting because like in high school and middle school, I felt a little similar to you, in which I had these friends that I had been friends with since like elementary school, since we were in
Yeah.
very small kids,
Yeah.
and they were wonderful and I loved them. But sometimes if I would invite them to hang out, I don't know, like sometimes if you can be surrounded by a bunch of people and still feel alone a little bit.
Yeah.
And even if you like have all these people around you, I remember driving home with my dad and I was just crying and he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I don't know, just some I just didn't feel right." And then and it's just so weird because these people that I'm meeting are online. I've never talked to them in person. I've zoomed with them, I've done podcasts with them, but it's just very weird because when you share a passion with somebody, you can like really connect with them on a level that I didn't experience before.
Yeah.
Like outside of a relationship or
Yeah.
something like that. It's like it's so neat. So I really relate to when you talk about that.
That's what, that's what everyone, humans are tribal. We're pack animals. That's what we are. And uh we're always looking for the tribe that we fit in with. Hence why, we all go through these phases in life. Trying to be cool and trying to find out what you really like. And there are times, just like you and I, we have to pave our own path when society doesn't have it. But thanks to the power of internet, we can find our tribe even faster. And it helps us feel less alone. And I think as a kid growing up, I've always, even with a lot of people around me, I feel alone because I didn't understand myself, which meant no one understood me.
Mm.
And thinking about my thinking about my past life, I didn't really find myself until until I found Webflow. Because again, there was a moment where, like, at the current job, I didn't know who to. I didn't really like it, the job before
Mm-hmm.
Webflow, and the environment was just way too stressful. And I was like, I need a way out, so I'm applying to all these jobs, and out of nowhere, I was helping people on the Webflow forums, and then out of nowhere, I get this email from this random person on the Webflow forums saying, "Hey, where's Pixel Geek? He's been helping for a while, but now I haven't seen him in a couple months." And I'm like, someone actually cares? Someone was noticed? Holy crap. And so because of that small message, I was able to lift myself up from a very sad place, and I'm like, I'm gonna just keep going. And a month from that message, I get an email from Vlad asking if I want to join the team, and I'm like, let's go. And so everything I've been doing is trying to give back to the community what I was fortunate enough to have, to gain. I gained a dream job, and I'm like, I need to find a way to give back twice as much. And if someone gives me twice as much, then I have to give even more exponentially. And that's what I try to do all the time. Because again, it is not all these good feelings, all these things I'm grateful for should not be hoarded. They should be
Mm-hmm.
given back as much as possible. And that whole rising tide lifts all shit. Yeah, so that thing again. And when trying to find your tribe, I think that's how you find it. Just give back with your honesty and empathy. And
Hmm.
people will notice that, and they will either want you to join them or they would want to follow you. Either way, keep giving back. And you see this done with so many great YouTubers, so many great uh, content creators. Um, like one that I always watch. I love him, Mark Rober, the guy from NASA who now makes all these funny videos. But he's teaching science and engineering, and you're like, oh, cool, and you want to follow him because he just feels like the same type of nerd or curiosity that you have. And so, yeah, thanks to the power of internet, uh, you can find the tribe.
And it's hard to fake authenticity like that. I feel like people sniff it out pretty easily.
It yeah, it so sadly, in the other side of the internet, it's so easy to fake something,
Mm,
and it's increasingly harder to become honest. There's so many tools to help you fake something. So in YouTube, video editing has gotten way easy that you can just edit everything, and people have like fast editing, and now TikTok and whatnot. It's
mhm,
hard. I guess I'm too old for it because it's too hard for me to keep up because people either speed up their videos or they have so many cuts. And so when they're talking, it's like this. And it's like, stop editing, Or Instagram filters and Snapchat filters. It's like everything is a filter, everything is edited, everything has to be perfect. And
mhm,
it's sad for this society is that we perfection sells.
mhm,
Marketing promotes perfection when in
mhm,
reality no one is perfect. If you perceive yourself as and I put this on my website, if you perceive yourself as perfect, you're the least perfect. If you perceive yourself as the least perfect but striving for perfection, then you are the most perfect. It's a weird thing in our lives, but that's to me that's what I figured out. And I hate perfection.
mhm.
Yeah.
I in being transparent, this is my eighth podcast I've done. But
Congrats.
every single time, thank you, every single time I'm so nervous beforehand. And it's crazy because I I I don't know, it's just you think that it would get easier, but you just go for it. And then you start realizing that like even though you're feeling nervous, like you can kind of just walk past it. Like, ah, whatever. It's fine. And and so like when I was a freshman in college, uh I joined the rowing team, the crew team, and I was a coxswain. So I was the person that sits in like the very back of the boat and steers the boat.
Nice.
And it was the most terrifying thing I've ever done. I would wake up every morning and just like feel dread, but I would do it anyway. And then the rest of my day, I nothing was hard because I had to focus on not ramming a boat into a bridge. And so I guess it does get tiring to like people say you should always do something that scares you and then you're progressing, but it's really tiring. And something that I noticed with you is that um you're very open about if you're frustrated or anything like that. Like if something doesn't go well, you're like it's okay, like it's fine, like we can just get fix this one thing in the stream and then we'll be fine. But uh one thing that's very consistent with you is that you seem really kind and open and just like wholesome to me often. And so I was just wondering that that's not everybody's go-to. And I was just wondering, does it get tiring after a while just being positive a lot of the time when so many people are coming to you for help?
You can't have one with the other. You cannot be happy without understanding sadness, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not always happy. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
always positive. And there are times when I'm just angry at something, the world, politics, society, um, what I'm eating. I don't know. Just, you know, like no one can be 100% positive. Um, but having someone there to help you through that part of your life is so crucial. And and again, we as humans can't go through life by ourselves. We need help. And once you express that you need help, that's a great first step. And then finding help is the harder part. So I come from a Filipino family, and everything, as Asians, like, oh, you have to be the best. You have to, you have to do good. And, I almost didn't graduate high school. Like,
Really?
yeah, like I had D's, C's, F's. I didn't care about high school because I would I didn't do homework. I was more fascinated by computers and web design and video games. And it's the last semester of high school that I had to take an accelerated course at high school, and then in the afternoon I would go home, and then at evening I would have to take adult classes just so I can catch up with my
Mm-hmm.
my credits. And thankfully I was able to graduate. So yeah, I wasn't ever perfect, but sorry, I'm veering off track. We're going back
No,
to
no.
perfection. um I guess where I've learned sorry, you're talking about positivity. So where I've learned that for the positivity, I guess I've always had it naturally, because I always cared for other people. I didn't know why, but it was just in me to be empathetic to others. But it didn't come out more until web design, because I would always be interested when people use my website. So if someone's using a website that I made, I always like to look from behind, like,
Mm.
ooh, why'd you click there? So I was very already naturally interested in user experience, but there wasn't no name for it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever I see my wife install an app, based back when the first iPhone came out, and the App Store came out, and I would just watch her use an app, and I'm like, and I'd be interested. I don't know why. I was interested why she would click on one thing, not another. And I guess that comes from it empathy. Like, I'm always thinking, how can this be better? How can this website or this app, how can I make a certain function easier for someone? I'd always think
Mm-hmm.
that everywhere I go when it comes to digital screens. Um and then when I joined the Webflow forums, I was even more empathetic, because I was like, oh, okay, I want to help you. I want to help. And then I got the job at Webflow, and I'm like, ooh, I want to help even more. And then when
Mm-hmm.
I met Waldo, if he Waldo is another employee at Webflow. He used to be my director on the customer support team. When I met Waldo, if you want to talk about a positive, kind person, that guy, follow
Really?
him. He
Okay.
taught me so much about empathy. And his saying is live an attitude of gratitude. And I've learned so much from him. And that just made me even more of a positive person. But what made me like what tipped it over, where I'm like, I'm gonna be as positive as possible, was when my wife and I got pregnant and had our child Nova.
Mm-hmm.
Her going through pregnancy, like that is something obviously as a male I cannot go through. And so seeing her go through the ups and downs was like something like I thank you for taking on this stress, even though we both agreed to have this child, she has to take the hard parts of it. It's really it, and then the whole going through labor. I was there, and
Mm-hmm.
it just crazy,
Yeah.
crazy what the
It's
human
the accurate
body
word.
can go through, and I'm like, jeez, like I am so grateful for you. And then she went through postpartum depression,
Mm,
and it was really a dark time for her. And what I've learned is me as a husband, I'm trying to fix everything. Like, how can I fix this? How can I fix this problem? And the more that I pushed trying to fix things immediately, the more she would get angry.
mm,
And I've learned that you're there to listen and support. You're not there to fix.
mm-hmm.
And from a male's point of view, you grow up with a father, and it's like, oh, like if you fall and scratch yourself, just get back up.
Rub some dirt
Yeah,
on
rub
it.
some dirt on it. And if you need to fix something, fix it real quick. It was the whole masculinity, like, oh, just deal with it type of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's not the way to go through life. Me not understanding the chemical changes, the organic changes in my wife's body, going through
Mm-hmm.
all of these quick changes. 9 months. That's
Yeah.
fast. Going through all these changes, I would not understand what's going through her head at all. So why am I trying to fix it?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, help her by listening. And if she wants to find help, you help her find help.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have faith to let her figure it out. And that's what I learned. And that's where all the empathy started to just pour in, because then I'm like, how am I in any situation? It's not just web design, it's just in life. How am I allowed to judge anyone if I haven't been in their shoes through every single moment of their life?
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot judge anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I stay positive all the time, because it's like, instead of making fun of someone or putting someone down, you know what? They're going through stuff that you don't understand, so just let it be. If they want help, then they will ask for it. And when someone asks for help, you give it. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. When I was a kid and I was really frustrated about trying to figure out these people that like I was arguing with or anything like that, I got to a point where I actually wrote down something similar to what you just said,
Hmm.
and I put it up by my mirror in my bedroom, and the phrase was, I don't know if it was corny, but it was stop trying to figure out people who don't know who they are yet.
Nice.
And every day when I would like put my clothes on and like check my outfit right before I go to school, I had that there. And so I really and it's one thing that I've gotten in a little bit in trouble for before, where somebody would be really just like lashing out or negative or something like that, and then people I know would say like, oh, like you shouldn't talk to that person anymore, like because of what they said, or like they did this, they did that. And I would respond like, you have no idea what's going on in that person's life. Like this, and I've heard somebody else say this before, that like uh a lot of people, when they have kids, I don't have kids, but when they have kids, they really look at people differently. where you like see everybody as like somebody's kid, somebody's baby, and you like they come out like really like blank slates. Some of them have like obvious personalities when they come out, but it really like when I heard somebody say that, I started to have a lot more empathy for people, and it became less of a, oh, I don't like that person, I'm not gonna talk to them anymore. It's just like boundaries of like, okay, if this person is like this and it like hurts me to be around them, I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to be angry at them. It's just like I just don't choose to spend time with that person. Or if it's somebody that you love and they're going through a phase or something like that, you like listen instead of like automatically being like, what's wrong with you, all that kind of stuff, because I'm sure that would have not solved anything in your relationship with your wife during her pregnancy. But yeah, so I really relate to that when you talk about that. And in my way of trying to get to know you, I kind of want to talk about your wife a little bit. You guys have been together for a really long time. How did you two meet, and when did you meet?
High school friend. Um, so my neighbor um is a high school friend of my wife, and we met at a graduation party of another friend, and and then I think we went one like group outing to like arcade or something, and then she beat me in Virtual Fighter, and I was like, whoa. But like, um, but it was just one random day. I'm bored, and I'm like, I'm just gonna call random people and like, hey, want to watch a movie? And like, I don't know, she was probably the third person I called or something, because I'm like, hey, I want to watch a movie, and then like she was like, wait, is he into me? Is he asking me to date? And um,
Aw.
but no, it was just like just go to a movie. But that's how we met. It was just through friends, and we've been together since um 2004. Not married since
Wow.
2004, but like dating since 2004, and then got married in 2013. But we're just, we're best friends, and it's it's relationships are not happily ever after.
Mm-hmm.
It takes so much empathy, and growing up and listening to all these stories of other relationships, I understand now. I understand
Mm.
why divorce rates are super high. I understand that, relationships just get boring, and you know it all comes with empathy and honesty, and thankfully we both have common interests, a base common interest in design.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a nerd for video games. She's not, but she'll still play a video game or two with me here and
Mm-hmm.
there whenever we have time. And I try to be interested in what she's interested in. Like there was a time when she was all about RuPaul's Drag Race, and
Oh, really?
yeah, and because of that, I'm like, okay, let me try to understand this. And I didn't understand the drag culture, but then I learned from it, and I'm like, I have a lot of respect for these people. You
It's
know,
not easy.
it's not easy to have a split personality. How you're one person on stage, another person, but these people look beautiful no matter what. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's a feat that I'll probably never do. And there are times when like my wife's like, can I put makeup on you? I'm like, sure. You know,
Yeah,
I,
it's just
I
like face paint at that point.
and I'm like, you know, try to be interested in what she's interested in, and vice versa. And when there's no common ground, it's just the same thing back to tribes.
Hmm.
You just want someone to understand you or be interested in what you're interested in. And
Yeah.
so I was lucky enough to find my life partner, and that we like each other's interests.
when when you I was listening to your podcast with Jessica, and I I listened to you talk about how she's very honest, and she called herself very blunt. And I wanted to ask, because in my relationship, I'm dating somebody from Eastern Europe, and he's very honest and blunt to a fault sometimes. and I took a while where I was trying to figure out like why I was so drawn to that, because sometimes it's super annoying. But he's there's something that I really like about it, and I want to know if you thought of it too. Um, Sometimes when people have like relationships and friendships with people, where they like keep you guessing, and they're not really direct with you, and I don't know if that's like an American thing or something like that, but it's really rough sometimes when you're like walking on eggshells. You don't know, like, did I upset somebody, did I not? And I the only other person that I heard say that other than you and me was this person named Michael Beirut. He's a designer. He's a graphic designer at Pentagram, and he was talking about his wife and how he describes her as he married the only girl he's ever kissed, and their first conversation was she looked him up and down. She said, "You need to get new shoes. We're gonna go get you some new shoes." Because like I guess I don't know. She was like very honest about that, and he always felt so secure with her, knowing that like I'm never gonna have to be guessing about what this person is like. And when I would get really frustrated with my boyfriend and just be like, oh my gosh, why are you like this? I had to remember like you can't have that without the other. Like and so I was wondering, how do you feel about her being so honest and blunt with you? Because I I really like it
It
for
took
some reason.
it took me a while to get used to. Growing up, uh, my family is very beat around the bush. If there's an elephant in the room, we're
Mm,
not going to talk about that elephant. Um, and having a relationship with Jessica, it helped me learn from that. She's very blunt, and she did the same thing. She's like, your wardrobe is like, you need a. She was the. She taught me to be secure enough to wear a pink shirt,
mm,
and I thought I could never pull that off. And she gave me the confidence. And again, it's easy to be fake and beat around the bush. It's hard to be honest, and she's being honest with me, and I had to take that in and let go of insecurities and say, okay, I trust you. I will wear this type of shirt. A pink shirt then led to polka dot shirt, which led to skinny jeans, which led to me like experimenting with different patterns of shirts. And like now, like wearing loud shirts is not a thing for me. And like it used to be like, oh, I'm too afraid to look different. No, embrace that. Everyone is different. Everyone is
mm-hmm,
weird. Everyone's a nerd. Just embrace who you really are. And um that honesty really helps. And plus uh when Jessica's honest, it's because she wants me to become better, because she knows that I can be better. So let me help you with this. Let me help you take that next step in your evolution.
mm-hmm,
And we're honest because of her being honest. I've learned to be honest with her. And when she's struggling with something or she feels so insecure about something, I'm like, you can do it. And I always tell her, and I tell a lot of people this too, you are better than you realize.
mm-hmm,
And people need to hear that, because we all think we are the worst version of ourselves because we are our worst own worst critics. We look
And
at
you're
our
also around yourself all the time. You never
yes,
get a break.
yes,
Even
yes,
when you sleep.
exactly, exactly. You see a little pimple or something on your face, and you're like, oh, the word. I look horrible. No, you don't.
Cancel
Everyone,
today.
yeah, you know, embrace you, and we do that in an honest way, and again, honesty and empathy. Uh, there's that balance of you want to be honest, but not to the point you're breaking them down. And there are times when it hurts. It hurts so hard, but we respond to each other like, you know what, that one hurt,
Mm.
you know. And whenever we have arguments, uh, there are times, yeah, when it's like I ask her like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" Nothing, nothing. Oh, that word,
Mm.
nothing. You know. But after an hour or two to cool down, uh, either her or I would come back and say, "Okay, this is what I was really feeling. You hurt my feelings when you said this or when you did this,"
Mhm.
and then we would talk it out, and we would move on. We would figure out a way to move on and learn. And again, back to the postpartum depression, how I learned more about the empathy was that she told me straight, she said, I read an article about postpartum depression and how it's doing this, and this is how I feel. And so every
Mm.
time you're telling me to do something or try to fix something, you're pushing me away, and I don't like it. You're making me more upset. And that's when I was
That
like,
is so good that she can say that.
yeah, it takes a lot of courage, you know? And
Yeah.
it made me step back and go, oh, I'm the problem. I will own up to that, that I was causing more harm to you. So I will step back and do my best to listen more.
Mm.
So, yeah, honesty. But honesty and empathy is how I run my life now.
And I also really liked how how invested you are in her life and her success, because that's it's kind of like in relationships there's the love component, in which there's like the intimacy of a relationship, but then on the other side it's a love component in which it's like the most intense friendship that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way that you talk about her in terms of like you're proud of her accomplishments, and you try to just give her as much as you can. And I just think that there's something like really beautiful about that that isn't in every relationship. And when you talk about, I understand how relationships end, and I understand why so many people get divorced. A lot of people don't don't have both the intimate and also like the intense friendship, and it's really evident from any video that I see of you guys, even if you were arguing like 20 minutes before you clicked record, because I've been there.
Yeah, it's this love that I wish everyone had. Um, but sadly, you know, it's not possible. Again, you can't have happy without sad, and I'm just very lucky to have found someone that I can be a friend. Well, even our wedding theme was the title of an Incubus song, "Friends and Lovers," and
Aw.
that's what that was the theme of it, and it's still prevalent today. I just want, again, if I help her, then I'm helping the family, and when she helps me, she's helping the family. And what we've learned from our marriage class, so in Catholicism, you're not allowed to get married until you go through this class.
Mm.
And marriage class, you know, it tells you about marriage and whatnot. And then after you take that class, they send your results to the priest who is going to wed you. And he, uh, the 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 letter that's sent to the priest could be like, you know what, they're not compatible. Nope, cancel wedding. Even after you've made a deposit on everything, the DJ and the flowers, the photographer. Yeah, like it's like, no,
I had
no.
no idea.
But it's up to the priest to be like, okay, do I take this in or not? But hey, we got a good grades, and so we passed. And but what we learned from that class, the main thing that we learned, which it still sticks with me, is uh, if you want to teach your kids love, it has to start with the parents. If
Mm,
the parents are continually expressing love to each other, uh, and being kind and respectful, then it'll naturally pass down to your kids. And that's what we're
mhm.
trying to do. And and yeah, I'm just very, very lucky to have Jessica. And yeah, yeah. And just, and even when you're talking about her, I was kind of tearing up, and I was like, yeah, I'm
Aw.
really, really lucky. And just seeing her grow is is beautiful to me, because I, again, 2004, um she was graduating high school, and I've been with her throughout her whole graphic design journey through
Yeah.
college. I remember waking up in the middle of the night because she's like, hey, this is for my final. Can you buy me some printer cartridges, or print this over at FedEx? Because
Uh-huh.
we need this printed. And it's like 2 a.m. And I'm like, okay, I'll drive you. And, so I watching her grow from a graphic designer to her, helping her find her first job, and seeing her get down on herself, like, it's been 8 months since I graduated and I have no job, I'm horrible, to
Mm.
making her own business. And now she's starting a new job soon. She's going to be a creative director. And
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
oh my god, this is amazing. And I just want her to live the life that she wants,
Mhm.
and keep pushing herself to do bigger things. I mean, bigger things. She just finished running a 50, not 15, 50K ultra run. Yeah,
Whoa.
I'm like, that, you are amazing. And so I want to give her as much space, much support as possible to just go even higher. And going back to what you said, like how you start each podcast recording super nervous, that is a good
Yeah.
thing. That is a good thing. Because if you weren't nervous, that means you don't care.
Mm.
Because you're excited and you want the best from this recording. And so I, even I, before every stream, I have to take a nervous pee.
Oh,
I mean, that, I'm like, yeah, that's good, because I'm
that's relatable.
I'm excited about this. Like, let's go. Let's teach. So, and what I learned from my wife as she's training, one thing that her coach said is, the as you're training for ultra runs, the mountains don't get easier. You just you become tolerant to more pain.
Mm.
So the more podcasts you do, you'll notice that it's easier. It's easier. No, it's not easier. You just understand it more, which
Mhm.
means then you can go to the next level, because it's going to get harder, and then it'll get easier, and then you find the next level. And that's what I love about life. It's never ending. So many things to learn every day, and we don't have enough time on this space rock to learn it. So learn as much as you can, but take breaks. Screw hustle culture. Take breaks, but keep learning, even if it's something little, like, oh, so that's what a butterfly does, or something, like something on wiki, you know but
Mhm.
yeah, embrace learning. So yeah, and then teach learning, or teach knowledge that you've learned, and we'll all become better.
I before we wrap up, I there's a couple more things I want to quick talk to you
Yeah.
about. But yeah, the first conversation that I had with somebody who was outside of uh like Greamer on Webflow University, like not talking to him, just like looking at him on the screen, was my friend Nico in Germany. And I asked him, I was like, so what is your deal? Why do you make these YouTube videos? Why are you giving this information? Why are you helping people on forums? Like, what's the deal? And he said something that was really great. He said, I know what I'm worth. I just think that this thing needs to happen more. And like there's like not enough people to do this. So like if I uplift everybody, then it all gets better. He's like I'm paraphrasing, he was like, I can't do everything. What makes you think that I need to like gatekeep this information?
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to him on Zoom, and I was like, that's a totally different way to look at it.
Yeah.
But speaking of your family and everything, something I was like personally curious about was I know you're a big fan of like SpaceX and Tesla and all of that. I was curious what the idea. Oh yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, the tattoo.
And he was for anybody that's listening, he has a SpaceX astronaut tattoo
It's
on
my
his
only
arm.
pinned tweet. Yeah.
And I was curious if that was part of the idea behind your daughter Nova's name.
So, when we're coming up with names, I told my wife it has to have. There's one of two requirements. Okay, either A, it's video game related, or B, it's space related. You know, and I was kicking around the name Faith because of a cool game called Mirror's Edge I was into at the time. And
Mm.
my wife is religious, and so I was like, okay, Faith, and we shelved it. We like to shelve names. Like,
Uh-huh.
okay, we're gonna come back to it and see if it still hits, you know. And then one day, she just came home and she was like, Nova, and I was like,
That's such a
yes.
beautiful name.
StarCraft has a character named Nova, and Nova is space related. You win. That's it. And she loves it too because she's a letter form nerd. She
Mm.
loves typography, and so she's like, oh, because when you can kern the V with the A real close, and then yeah, that would be so cool. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then like we're already thinking
I love
about
how she's already thinking about like kerning for her daughter's name. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
logos for her and all that stuff. For like,
Wow.
yeah, because we're design nerds, and I learned to appreciate design more because of Jessica and packaging and letter paperweights and whatnot. And so like learning all this and finding Nova's name, it's just so amazing. And again, it goes back to common interests. It's just fun. No, each part of our lives, it's just fun.
I'm so excited for everything with your
Aw.
daughter, and it seems really like a very sweet relationship that you guys all have with each other. And one thing that I when you talk about how to model, and as we're closing up, as you when you talk about modeling relationships and modeling things for your daughter, I think one thing that's also really important um is like, and this is something that I had to learn because there's the whole idea of like, don't argue in front of your kids thing that some people practice. But I think that it's like super important to like teach them how to argue, because it's really, I don't know if you feel that way, but uh it's really helpful because sometimes people can like get like super in the moment and they like don't know what to do with this feeling, but like teaching her that is like so important. So that's just one thing that I thought of when you were talking about relationships and Jessica.
Yeah, again, empathy and honesty. The honesty part is, You know, you're being honest with the whole family. Like, I'm angry about this situation. And then the empathy of how can we fix it together. And when you don't hide that behind the scenes, you know, then our daughter will see that and subconsciously pull that in and say, oh, this is how you handle situations. You just be
Yeah.
upfront with it or give someone time to process and cool down.
Yeah.
But if we just kept that behind closed doors, then when she gets into that issue in her life, which she will, or that moment in her life, which she will, then if she didn't see us work through it, then she'll be like, I don't know how to work through it, so I'm just gonna get super angry. And if I see some other couple dealing with it in a very negative way, then I'm just gonna gravitate towards that because I haven't been exposed to it. Parenting is parenting is hard. It's the
Maybe I'll
balance.
get there one day.
If you do, it's a hard balance of exposing. There's is it exposing too much or too little? There's always
Mm,
that balance. Are you keeping them too safe from the world, or are you letting them be as carefree as possible? There's a middle balance, and it's hard to find because there's no such thing as an average kid.
mm,
Everyone is different, and so there's no book, there's no lesson plan. You just gotta figure it out, and it's hard.
yeah.
And you learn so much from your kids because it's a mirror. It's a mirror because they're watching you, you're watching them, and they take after you, whether through genes or through actions.
Hmm.
And if you can come through every situation with honesty and empathy, then she or they will mirror that.
Hmm.
And yeah, and that's what we try to do.
There's one last thing I wanted to tell you before we close.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming up on the hour and a half. I Before I discovered Webflow, and before I decided to go into, I loved user experience design. I was applying to jobs. Now I like run my own company,
Yay.
which is a thing. Yeah, very exciting. And but before I did this, I was actually a maid. um, and before I did that, worked as a graphic designer in like a corporate company, which treated me very well. They were wonderful. Don't want to say anything negative about them, but in the corporate company, I felt kind of similar to the way you described your previous job, where I don't know there was something just that was just wrong. Like I was like in an office all day and I was like didn't have any like fresh air. I was like clicking a screen all day and then I was living in a like very shoebox apartment. Like I was actually living in a like somebody's closet that they just put temporary walls around that like didn't touch
Harry
the
Potter.
ceiling. And I was living in New York and and I was like spending so much time on screen and like not doing anything. I just not doing anything active and not having a lot of sunlight. And then it was rough and I was scared because I thought this is what my future's going to be like. I don't know if I want to do this because like after being like so burnt out and doing this all day every day for like 6 months, I like just wanted to just like be asleep all the time. Like I just wanted to like I didn't want to do anything bad, and I've talked about this before, but like I just wanted to like go to bed. I like just didn't want to be awake anymore, and it was really rough. And then I came back and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the outside world. Like I get like a year more of college. I can like take a nap in the middle of the day, or I can like do things on my own time. And still in my mind, freelancing and like having my own business and working from home was like not in my mind at all. And then I started working as a nanny and a maid, and I was like doing people's laundry and like like cleaning people's houses and stuff like that. And I was like, again, all the people that I worked for were very kind, but it's just like it wasn't the right place for me. And then I got that job working on the website, and then I started with Webflow, and I was like, oh my God, this is my ticket out. Thank you. And so if you talk to anybody at work or anything like that, just like this changed my life. So thank you.
I will send this recording to the team because it changed. Webflow has changed so many lives for so many people. I've heard stories like this. You know, it changed my life, and yeah, it.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I didn't expect to cry on stream. Hi,
it's
everybody.
okay. It's happy tears. It's happy tears. I had those too. I mean, like that. Just it's beautiful because again, making websites more accessible means that you can spend time helping and helping others build up their business because then they'll want to help you build up yours, and you can do what you love to do, which is
Mhm.
design for a great user experience, designing with empathy. And
Mhm.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see, and it doesn't get old. It doesn't get old. Um I'm glad that you found Webflow and you've joined the community because this is just the beginning. And so all these
Yeah.
feelings that you're having right now, the fact that you're doing a podcast and helping share stories, and you've built it on your own website through Webflow, that's beautiful. Keep sharing these stories. Keep giving avenues for people to learn. And thank you for doing it.
Oh. I I did the podcast so I can like meet more people and learn from them and everything like that. And so just thank you so much for coming on and being very encouraging. I to close out, since people might be listening to us here on like YouTube or anything, or they might be listening to us on my Spotify. We'll just close out with me saying like who I am and how people can contact me, and then we'll close with you and how people can find you on all your different places, and then I'll put them all in my description if
Okay.
you're listening to this on my platforms. Um, so, my name is Emily Giordano. I am a Webflow designer and developer, user experience graphic design person. And what I do is I make websites for people, and I do a bunch of really cool stuff. And so, if you ever have a project, or you just like to talk to me, or if you want to recommend somebody for the podcast, you can find me at Emily. That's EMILY at greatdesignlead.com, or you can find my website at greatdesignlead.com. And now we're going to finish up with Nelson.
Hi again, I'm Nelson. You can find me at pixelgeek.co or join my community over at pixelgeek.community. I promise not to make you cry on that chat board, but I will do my best to help you level up in your web design journey. You can find me on Twitter at the Pixel Geek. Um, but in this YouTube channel, youtube.com/pixelgeek. Uh, yeah, Emily, you are a beautiful person, and I
Aw.
congratulate you on the journey you've been through from a maid to a entrepreneur, business owner, graphic and web designer, and podcast host. I mean, I haven't done more than 2 or 3 podcast episodes, so I know that it's tough to even get to 10. So congratulations once you hit the 10. Congratulations on that. I'm honored to be on this podcast and part of your journey. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I guess this is until next time.
All right, have a good day.